Have you ever felt something around you, maybe a flutter, a pressure, or even just a wee sign, and thought, okay, what was that? What was that? You're not imagining it. That's your spirit team trying to reach you. And in this video, I'll show you how to actually connect with them in a real grounded way. So you can stop doubting and start trusting your guidance that's right there for you. And what we're going to cover here is what your spirit team really is. Angels, guides, ancestors, light beings, My journey from skeptic, because I was a right skeptic, to believer through spiritual awakening and meditation and simple signs that spirit is near, ear flutters, crown tingles, and the unexpected feathers. So today we're diving into one of my favorite topics. It really is connecting with your spirit team. Now, when I say spirit team, I'm talking about the energy that you can tap into through a higher power. The angels, the ancestors, the spirit guides, the light beings, the collective councils, the power animals, whatever it is that you bring that, whatever language fits for you, yeah? It's all the same loving intelligence that wants to help you navigate life, because that's really what spirituality is. Your inner GPS that's always on, even when you're not listening. Yeah. But here's the truth. Sometimes connecting with that feels impossible. It really does. And you're meditating, you're asking, you're doing all the things, and still nothing. Yeah. I know I've been there. So let me share a bit of my story and how I learned to open that channel properly. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I wasn't always into this. Yeah. You hear of people that have, since they were birth, they would see this, that, and the next thing. Yes, I used to have out-of-body experiences at a really young age, and I used to be able to see energy at a really young age. But I'd closed myself off, completely closed myself off. Because, and even when in my 20s, when I was having out-of-body experiences, I never told anybody because I thought they would send me to the loony bin, especially the people that I hang about with. So I wasn't always as connected as what I'm now. In fact, when people used to talk about spirit guides, I'd roll my eyes, I'd laugh. Okay, someone's been on the drugs again. That was about 20 years ago, when life forced me to slow down, literally, absolutely literally. I broke my foot. Another time, I was living a completely unhealthy life, heading straight for a heart attack. I really was. That accident, and I partied on that foot for a whole weekend when Anne Savage was in the house, because we've all got a life. That accident, though, in hindsight, was my wake-up call. Because during that time, I started feeling things like pressure on the bed when no one was there, or out-of-body sensations that freaked me out. I didn't tell a soul because I thought, great, Anne, you've officially lost the fucking plot. You've really lost it. But what was really happening was my spirit team was trying to get through. And people who tell you, by the way, that you have to be high vibe, you have to be high frequency to be able to connect, it's absolute bullshit. It is bullshit. Because I have connected when I've been at my lowest, and I've had those connections, those signs, and all the rest of it. So I started meditating. Sometimes I'd be away for hours, and something incredible happened, because I began receiving messages, things I couldn't have possibly known at that time, that later came true years down the line. And I'd forgotten. I used to write everything in this wee black book, and I found this wee black book years later, and everything in that book had actually came true. Now, how did I know that? I'd even had loved ones that had passed away Even the dogs that passed away would come through during meditation. I wasn't even thinking about them, and they would come through in meditation. It felt like touching the hand of God. It really, that's the only way I can describe it, because you can't describe that energy. It's impossible to describe that energy. And I have 100% faith of spirit. Now, I got this pure, unconditional connection now. But here's where I tripped up. Life got busy. I stopped meditating. And when I tried to reconnect, nothing. Nothing. The signal was just gone. That's when I realized I needed a quicker, more direct way to tune in, because when I was doing those meditations, I would be away for hours because I didn't sleep anyway. So I was well meditating. But it's not possible to do that hours, especially when you've got a really busy business and you're a single parent and you're teaching. There was just so many balls in the air that I needed to have a quicker way of doing it, a more direct way to tune in. What actually happened is I was able to use the spiritual body and how to connect. So I started, we all have a spiritual cord that's above the head. And just, if you've never connected to that, just for a moment, just take a nice big deep breath in and just take your attention to the top of the head, the crown, just in the middle. And there's an actual spiritual cord that every single person on earth has, that's connected to a higher frequency. It's connected to a consciousness, a spirit. And just feel that energy there. Now, usually when someone with a really short, thin cord, there's not a very good connection to their spirit. They're closed off. They've closed it off. Whereas when you've got a nice expansive cord, they're very connected. Yeah. Now, you should feel like a wee vibration, or just, and if you don't feel that yet, just keep breathing, because sometimes we're so disconnected, we can't feel it. So just allow yourself to come back into your body and feel that. Because your spiritual body already knows how to connect. And that spiritual body is the one that carries that spiritual cord. Because your direct link to the higher realms is via that spiritual cord. And if you've been feeling disconnected, try this. Yeah? Just close your eyes, just breathe deeply. And just imagining widening that spiritual cord. And ask your spirit team to flow through. Because they can't interfere with free will. You have to invite them in. And trust me, they always respond. You may not be picking up the signs yet, but they always respond. And remember, it's not about forcing connection. It's about remembering. It's already there. It's always there. And just feel that for a moment. And just invite them in. And some people will just say to me, but how do I know my spirit team? How do I know when they're near? Here's what I've noticed, and I could only tell you from my own perspective and when I see my practitioners and the people I work with. Me, I have a soft flutter, a vibration, like a tunnel kind of feeling around the ears. That's spirit's energy. I'm feeling it right now. That's spirit's energy touching, coming in. Yeah. Or I feel a pressure or a tingling on the crown, which is my spiritual cord. It's been activated. And my personal favourite is feathers. Not just random feathers in the park, ones that make you stop in your tracks. The time I find one on a walk, and the next morning, the exact feather appeared under my pillow. And I remember sticking that feather in the ground as I'm walking. Huge heron feather, it's absolutely huge. Stuck it in the ground and says that somebody will get the gift of that feather. Now, what is the most beautiful thing is, I never told anybody, I never said anything to anybody, I just did it and forgot all about it. I then woke up in the morning with this huge heron feather under my pillow, which was the exact feather that I stuck in the ground that was gifted to someone. How do I know this? Because I went back to get that feather to actually check and put the two of them side by side. And actually, the markings and everything were identical. You really could make up. There is so many feather stories that I can tell you when nobody's been about. In most conspicuous places, in my wallet, I open my wallet. Seconds later, there's a feather. My laptop, I can close my laptop, go back in there, there's a feather. One I used to get a lot was in my office when I worked back home. I would just find these feathers. I'd be sitting there and I'd move, and seconds later, there'd be these feathers would show up that were not there before. I actually started thinking, am I quantum jumping? Because I'm very good at it. Am I quantum jumping, putting these here? It was just bizarre how many feathers. But actually, at the same time, when I started getting the feathers, was a close friend died, who was very spiritual. And it makes me think, and also one of my students died at the same time also. And actually, we started getting these feathers. It was just, the kids would come, the grandkids would come to the house. Feathers would be there for them. It was just bizarre. And it was just spirit saying, we're here, keep going, we've got you. So if you've not noticed any signs yet, don't panic. Just ask them, show me you're here in a way that I'll notice. Because they love that. It's like sending an invitation with love written all over it. Yeah, it really is. So connecting with your spirit team isn't a one-time thing. It's a relationship. It starts with openness, asking for help, tuning in through the breath, meditation, or even just awareness of your spiritual cord that I've showed you. And when you build that relationship, it doesn't just change your life. It ripples out. You see it in your 3D world. It helps your family, your friends, and if you have clients, it helps them, even your pets, that energy. That's the beauty of frequency work. It heals through you. It really does. And in the 3D, you really do. And you can see it really quickly as well. So thank you for watching. If you want to create a deeper frequency, but don't know where to start, the next video is for you.